Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about gut health, the health of basically your lower intestine. This is something you don't see a lot of people talking about in the YouTube fitness world, but this is actually an important topic for both your gains, body composition, but also your overall health. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Now, the thing is, let's talk about your gains, body composition, all of that first, and then we'll jump further into health and everything else, and then we'll jump into how you actually do care about your gut health, like what you can do to improve it overall. And the thing is, a lot of medical doctors out there, particularly gastroenterologists, and we had a family friend who was a gastroenterologist, and he honestly believed that gut health was actually the start of all bad health, meaning poor gut health is what he felt contributed to like 80 to 90% of diseases, that he felt that it impacted diabetes, cancer rates, everything. That was his opinion as an expert in that field. That he personally felt it was the most important thing in the world. As far as your health goes, it was the number one thing you should be worried about. Now, a lot of medical doctors will say that about different things, but that was just interesting to note. And there's actually some potential truth to that, because one of the things you're going to note with your gut health, a big section, actually the most important aspect of your daily activities, or what you do that affects your immune system, is your gut health. In other words, the amount of healthy bacteria that you have in your GI tract can absolutely affect your immune system, affects your ability to fight off colds, flus, everything else. That's an important factor as far as your gains in the gym go, because let's be honest, if you're sick more often, you're going to recover slower from your training. Right? You're going to recover slower. You're not going to be able to train as hard, train as consistently, train as often if you get sick regularly. Also, if you don't feel well due to a poor immune system and always getting nagging colds and everything else, it's going to affect your ability to lose body fat also, because you're going to be less physically active. So little simple things like immune system, we know impact people in the long term as far as overall health, but I mean, it has a direct impact upon your actual gains in the gym. Very real impact, because how often you get sick actually matters, and anyone who trains knows that. Getting sick once a month, a bad cold once a month, getting the flu every single winter, not good. That doesn't allow for you to get the best results from your training, in addition to just making your life in general less enjoyable. But there's more to it than that. There's also the recovery aspects and the metabolic aspects. Again, a lot of dietitians, a lot of people with advanced degrees actually feel that things like fiber intake, amount of fiber that you consume, seems to affect metabolism, at least in a small way. Is it massive? No. But here's the thing, higher metabolic rate, higher energy turnover due to fiber intake, and it affecting both gut flora, affecting short chain fatty acids in your bloodstream, everything else that gets released as a result of that seems to impact metabolism, at least a little bit. Well, that higher metabolic rate can improve nutrient partitioning, it can improve energy turnover in your muscles, right? That can affect muscle protein synthesis. So could that in theory affect your muscle gains? Yeah, just a little bit, but sometimes every little bit helps. What about fat loss? Now there's a big deal. If there's something that you could do for your overall health with your diet, everything else, that will allow you to lose body fat a little easier because your total metabolism is higher, basically means you could eat a little more, or you can lose fat just a little bit faster on the same amount of food, that's a plus. Again, most people will agree with that. Most people who are either trying to gain muscle, lose fat, any of this stuff will agree, yeah, that's a benefit. If there's a little small boost you can get that's not costing you anything, there's no products being bought, you know, you're not having to buy a supplement, you're not having to buy a drug, there's no real negative side effects other than, you know, feeling better because you've taken better care of your body, well, that's overall a big plus, especially if it allows you to lose fat faster. But that comes from consuming fiber. It comes from consuming fiber. So people who follow a higher fiber diet tend to have a better immune system, better metabolism. That's a big deal. But the thing is, that's where a lot of your gut health comes from. The reason for that, a lot of your insoluble fiber that you consume, your gut flora use that as a fuel source. That's what they eat. That's what the good bacteria in your lower intestine eats for food. That's what it eats, is fiber. So the more food you're giving it, the more of them that are going to be present. If you have more of the good bacteria present in your GI tract, they're going to kill off bad bacteria better. They're going to have improved digestion, improved energy turnover, improved immune system. Now, the other benefits there, the higher fiber intake affects things like blood sugar, insulin sensitivity, food absorption. Like insulin management, blood sugar management is actually started in your gut, and a lot of it has to do with your fiber intake. So what we're saying here is eating more fiber, getting more whole grains in, more vegetables in, actually has a direct impact on these things. It directly impacts your gut health, directly impacts the stability of your blood sugar levels, affects your insulin sensitivity, affects your immune system. This is a big deal, and people can say all they want about flexible dieting and everything else, but the reality is if you're not getting in enough fiber in your diet, there are consequences for your health, but there are actual consequences for your gains, because again, when you think about it in those terms, more stable blood sugar levels means you're going to burn fat easier, means you're going to be able to train harder, means you're going to have better overall recovery. The metabolic component of it is again going to affect fat loss in the long term. It's going to allow you to lose fat just a little bit easier. These are things that should matter to people, even people who say, well, I don't care about my long-term health, which I don't understand people who say that. But even the people who say that, there are direct training and body composition benefits to this, in addition to lowering your diabetes rates, heart disease rates, cancer rates, everything else. Those are all a big deal too, and I would hope that you care about that, but there are actual real-world consequences in terms of your actual training to this. This is beneficial for people who want to train to gain muscle or lose fat or even minimize fat gain while they're trying to gain muscle. This is actually important stuff. It actually matters. So anyone who's trying to knock down carbs, and particularly fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, when you think about it from the fiber aspect of it, that is really a big deal. They're knocking down the foods that you actually benefit from in a very, very real way, directly in your training, directly in your fat loss, directly in your health. There's a reason cultures tend to live longer who eat more of those foods. They tend to be healthier. They tend to have less disease, less obesity, less diabetes, everything else. The other thing you could do, that's the biggest thing you can do, is just consuming more fiber. Looking at the fiber in your diet. You know, people say, well, what's the amount? Well, that varies a lot. Minimum of 30 grams a day, but that's really just your bare minimum. If you aren't getting 30 grams of fiber a day, you should probably reassess your diet. But yeah, you could certainly go higher than that. Just remember that large increases in fiber without giving your body a few weeks to adapt to it can cause gastrointestinal distress. So I'm not saying people should just go from, oh, I'm only eating 20 grams of fiber a day to eating 50 a day, because you're going to be bloated, gassy, possible have diarrhea, everything else as a result of that. But if you gradually increase fiber over time, those effects generally go away. That's the most important thing you can do. What's the other thing? Probiotics. And I don't mean a supplement. You don't need a supplement for that. People have been using probiotics for thousands of years. One of the things that we've seen in the research that look at the longest lived cultures on Earth, most of them consume cultured dairy of some type. Now, arguably, it's because a lot of people around the world are lactose intolerant, and cultured yogurt removes lactose, breaks it down. So there's that element of it. But the other thing that's noted, live cultures in yogurts, kefirs, things like that, improve your gut flora. You're putting in more good bacteria. That bacteria that you're feeding with the fiber, you're putting more of it in directly. It's one reason that medical doctors, after they put people on a course of antibiotics, what do? Because a lot of people get constipated and everything when you're on antibiotics, because the antibiotics kill off the good bacteria in your gut also. Kills it off. So they're recommended to go on yogurt, eat yogurt every single day at the end of, and then when you come off the antibiotics. Why? Stops the constipation problem you have, because you're returning that good bacteria in there that can break up the fiber. But when you think about it from another perspective, they're also improving your overall health with it, because those same bacteria not only affect digestion, not only affect metabolism, they affect your immune system, they affect your overall health. So that being said, it's very easy and very inexpensive to get cultured dairy products today. We've been doing this for thousands of years, tons of cultures around the world. Some of the healthiest cultures in the world, at least 50% of them, consume cultured dairy regularly. Very, very common among that. And it makes sense why that would help people. When you step back and look at this, for the same reason that doctors prescribe this and tell their patients to do this very frequently, to eat these probiotic foods, these live active cultures and yogurts and other cultured dairy, they're doing it for overall health reasons. Well, those health reasons can also be helped throughout the year just by regularly consuming these sort of products. It can help you. It improves your gut health and all the benefits that go with it. So those are the two things that most of us out there can do if we want to improve our gut health and get all these benefits from it. Consuming more fiber in our diet. Again, best source is whole grains, but then fruits and vegetables behind that. Or beans, legumes, things like that. Any of that stuff. Anything high in fiber. And consuming cultured dairy with live culture still in it. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.